Well, it's not live, but we are recording. Welcome to another episode of Wheelchair Wednesday, folks. I'm your host, Wheelchair Rick, and today we have a special guest coming to us from Northern California. Very interesting gal. We're going to talk to her in just a minute. But before we do that, let's roll that intro. Welcome to Wheelchair Wednesday. All right, y'all, let's give it up for our guest, Annette Jonson. What is up, friend?
Hello. Good to see you. Good to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. I know that we've talked a couple times. We've been trying to get on here and do this for about a week or a couple times. We finally figured it out. We finally got a day where we could sit down and do it.
Yeah.
And normally we do these shows live so people can chat in or whatever. But like once we air this, people can comment below. You know what I mean? Tag anybody you want in it. If you want to hear Annette or if you have any questions for anybody, let us know. But besides that, why don't you go ahead and start it off by kind of introducing yourself and then telling people about your accident and how it happened.
Yeah. My name is Annette Lyman Johnson. I go by Mrs. Johnson at work. I'm a second grade teacher. I've been teaching this is my 32nd year. I've
Nice.
been in a chair for almost 39 years. I was injured January 1st, New Year's Day, 1985, by a gunshot wound. My boyfriend at the time, or we had separated, but I was calling the police and he walked around behind me and shot me in the back with a 22 pistol.
Wow.
And so, yeah. And so I went to a hospital. I went to rehab I was between the hospital and the surgery and rehab. I was out in 2 months. And then I went to college, got my teaching degree, and that's what I've done. I'm married. I have two teenage sons, which is they're challenging at
Huh.
the moment.
I can imagine.
But
As being a teenage son once, I know what it was like to cause terror upon parents.
but yeah, so it's funny. My son, my oldest is 17, and I think about, man, when I was 17, I started dating this guy who, you know, beat me up and all kinds of stuff before he finally shot me. So
Right.
I'm like, that age, you
Always
think you
sits in
know
your mind.
everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm originally from Whitefish, Montana, and that's where this happened, which virtually nothing like that ever happens there. So
Right.
that was a great big thing. I was like, we had a weekly newspaper, and I made the front page of the newspaper 7 weeks in a row for
Wow.
something about me. So yeah,
That must have
and
been the talk of
then
the
I
town for a while, huh?
big time, big time. And then I moved to Northern California. I like the weather better, and I don't even know how I did it as long as I did. I didn't have a garage, so when it snowed, I was out there sweeping the snow off, and sometimes having to take a lighter and to unlock my door because it was like frozen shut.
Oh, I live in Michigan. I know all about the lighters to the frozen
Oh, you
doors.
do?
Believe me. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and I'll tell
Yeah.
you one thing: if your windshield's frozen over or your door is frozen over, do not throw hot boiling water on top of it because that's only going to cause you more problems.
I take it that's from experience.
Oh yeah, it'll bust your glass wide open.
Yep, you make
So,
that.
for my
All
next
right.
question, I wanted to ask you this is kind of this is why I go to number 2 is would you walk if you could? Now, what I mean by that is if you could go back all those years and you could stop that from happening to yourself and then go live your life able-bodied, but everything that you've learned and done so far would be null and void. You'd have to give all that back and then start from that point. Would you do that or would you stay where you're at now?
Yeah, that's a tricky question. I probably early on would have said definitely stay in my chair because I was headed down a not so great road in life, and this kind of turned me around and straightened me out and made me think about what priorities I have in life. And but the older I get, I think it's harder when I think about getting older and with this disability, and there's not a lot of people that I can like look to and say, what can I expect, or what should I be careful of, or those kinds of things. And so, I don't know. I mean, if I could have my kids and my husband, I maybe would say, yeah, no, maybe I would want to walk.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think, I think you might be one of the people that's had an injury the longest. So I mean, to be a long timer, you know what I mean? Like that's that's a different perspective that people that's only been in it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years don't really think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
I understand. I totally get where you're coming from on that. Now, as we've been talking so far already, dating, married, you have a husband. Obviously, you probably
hmm
found him after the injury. How did you find that, the dating into the marriage? Was it hard?
Never had a problem. Never had a problem dating. Never.
Nice.
I mean, I was a cute little thing, probably
She said I was a cute little
to
thing.
her. I mean, I mean, I don't know. I just had an attitude of, let's get out there. I just put myself out there. And so I was confident. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I would literally just say, that's who I want to date. And, that's who I want. I
Right.
did that with my husband. I
Nice.
saw him and was like,
Pointed
okay,
him out and said, "That's it. I'm taking that one."
yeah, that's it.
Nice.
And yeah, I was singing karaoke one night with my friends, and I saw him, and I was like, I bought him a beer, and the next thing you know, he was at our table, and the rest is history.
Nice. Now, I did
Yeah.
want to ask you this. The thumbnail that I'm using for this particular video, like for YouTube and such, has you holding the Olympic torch back in
Yes.
2004, 2002,
Two.
2004,
Yeah,
2002.
it was
Okay.
Salt Lake City.
Tell us
Yeah.
about that real quick. What was that about? Or what was
Well, my
that like, I
sister,
should
I
say?
guess that was, oh my gosh, it was an honor. My sister had nominated me or had written a letter. I think she had seen something on a commercial saying, if you know of anyone who has an inspirational story or whatever. I never got to see her letter. I wish I would have. I don't know what they did with it. But I was contacted by them, and then they asked me, if I wanted to be in that Olympic torch relay, and I was, of course, gosh,
Right.
yes. And so at that time, I was living in a different part of Northern California in Lake County, and so there were not a lot of people in Lakeport, Porch, where I was living at the time. And so they had me do that portion, my portion of the torch relay in, I think, Santa Clara, California, in the Bay Area. And so it was interesting. There was a whole group of us that got on a bus and they explained to us, what the torch meant, that the actual fire in the torch came from Athens, Greece, and it, has traveled all around the world and ends up in Salt Lake City.
And it keeps
So,
going, even as it's traveling, like it stays lit, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, the flame never goes out. And so, I mean, they even talked about the importance of the soot that is inside of the torch, that that's very special. and
Right.
and so I've got it, in my bedroom in a stand, and it has my name on it. And
Nice.
yeah, it was a great experience. My family was there, and yeah, and they were filming me, and I ended up on the front page of the newspaper. um in
Again, on a
what was it,
positive note.
yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't even have known that. My sister's mother-in-law, who lives in the Bay Area, decided she would just go down to Santa Clara and see if maybe I was in the paper. And
Right.
there I was, like, front page.
Nice.
So,
It's not every day you get to
yeah,
meet an Olympic torch carrier holder, passer honor. I don't
yes.
know what the official
Yeah,
title would be,
yeah.
but
Torchbearer.
torch bearer. There you go. I knew I was saying something wrong about it. So you've been down for, you said what, 39 years? Or
Almost 39.
almost
January
39
1st will be
years.
30.
Out
Mm-hmm.
of the whole time you've been in a chair and had to deal with it, what would you say would be your biggest pet peeve about being in a chair?
Oh, where do I start? in order of importance of annoyance, probably the restrooms when somebody's the only stall there and
Oh,
somebody
I hate
decides,
that. Yes.
God, right? They go in and they're gonna, I don't know, go to the bathroom, change their clothes, talk on the phone, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh my God, really?" And I've actually had accidents before, waiting for someone to come out,
Right.
and I always hope they feel like shit when they come out and see me sitting there.
Right. I
It's
just
like,
stare right at
really?
him, right in the face. Like, you really needed
Me
that
too.
bad, didn't you? You
Yeah.
just so badly want to lash out at him. Yeah. Yeah.
Parking's the same way.
Yep.
I mean, it blows my mind that, somebody who's parked in the disabled stall will come out as I'm getting out of my car and will actually ask me if I need help, and then they just walk right into, get in their car.
Right.
Like, wow, 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 wow. So those two things piss me off the worst.
Yeah.
I like daggers. I mean, when I was younger, I would say something, but man, people are assholes. I
Right.
mean, they don't care.
Nope. You're right.
I don't
I think the
know.
more we go on in this civilization that we're leading up to now, we're just seeing more and more like that. That they just nobody cares.
Yep.
It's all about me, and screw you type deal.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So true.
Very
So
rarely
true.
do we find people that still have morals that are able to,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, kind of help you out and
Right.
do the right
Right.
thing. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
those are two good ones. Those are right on my list as well. Right on my one hand, my first hand. That's one of them that I count. What is something that you wish you could do now that you could do before but you can't no longer do? What do you think you wish you could do again?
Yeah. I think. I mean, I've heard you ask other people this because I've watched your Wheelchair Wednesdays, probably every one of them.
Hey,
So
appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, no, I think what you're doing is so amazing, and I hope you keep doing it. Because we need this community, right?
Right.
Anyways, probably just feeling the grass underneath my feet or the sand on a beach underneath my feet. That feeling,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
mean, I
one.
think a lot of people might say like sex or something, but
Yeah.
that, I don't know. There's ways to still do that.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, that's one thing that you kind of had to learn, I mean, especially if you're with somebody, you know what I mean, like during your accident and like you still want to be involved. That's one thing. And
yeah,
that's kind of one thing that I don't normally get into with people, only unless like it gets brought up because like some people, you get some weirdos out there. Some people, that's all they want to talk about. That's like some of the first questions you get, like, "Hey, can you still?"
always,
You know what I mean? It's
always.
like,
That's the
shut
first
up. That's
question.
the first thing you think of. Gee.
Sure, for sure.
But no,
Yeah, I
the
don't
feet on
mind.
the like the feet on the sand and the grass and stuff like that. Like I was never mostly a barefoot person, but I can appreciate the feeling like of coming outside like on a fresh spring morning with the dew on the grass and just like you know what I mean, sipping a cup of coffee. Yeah, that feelings.
Yes,
Just little things that you kind of take for granted that you now
for
realize like that was definitely something that you would want to feel again.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
what is your? I'm sorry. What's your level of injury again?
Oh, T3,
T3. Do you? I'm T3, T4 too.
complete,
Do
complete.
you have any pain? What's your pain level like?
Uh, I didn't really. I think about 7 years in, I started having some real chronic pain at the site of my injury. And an Advil wasn't cutting it anymore. And we tried all kinds of things, and we finally landed on tramadol. Tramadol doesn't, I can still work, and I'm not affected by it.
Right.
I guess some people are, but I don't have any
It's like
problems.
50-50. I've heard tramadol and then gabapentin. It's like it's literally one person will say gabapentin's great. I did tramadol and had to move over to gabapentin. The other person will say I was on gabapentin, but I had to move over to tramadol. And it's like, well, which one's better? You know what I mean? I guess it's just preference. Because both of them have their
Gabapentin, right?
side effects.
See, and I don't have any side effects from tramadol, which is weird.
Right.
Um, but gabapentin wiped me out. So I think it's interesting with drugs, right? Because I mean, when I was younger, I had tried acid,
Party
like once.
gal. Watch out, boys.
Oh God.
Sorry, I
And
had to.
it was weird. It did not affect my head at all. But my legs, I mean, my body would not stop shaking
You know,
for
that
a
happened to me
long
with
time.
magic mushrooms.
Or yeah, like did it not affect you in your head? Like it just like
Well, it didn't
I
really,
just
like, yeah,
said
because I've took mushrooms before and like I've seen some stuff, but I really only took
yeah,
like a little bit this time. But I knew what to expect, so I kind of just laid back and just relaxed, and then but I looked down and I realized my whole legs were like jumping and my belly was jumping, and I'm like, what in the world? So I just kind of was like, just
yes.
chill out, relax, let it go, and literally
Oh my
like
God.
I had to position myself into certain positions so I would stop doing it. Obviously, it wore off after a while, but then after that, 2 weeks later, I didn't have a spasm, not one. All my legs were nice and easy to move and weren't tight at
Wow.
all. And I'm like, maybe there is something to this micro
That's
dosing type
true.
thing. So who knows?
That's true. Because baclofen, and I'm telling you, baclofen. I know there's a lot of people who, they're on the baclofen pump but I found out. I also take ditropan. I don't take it so much anymore, but I did when I was partying because
Right.
that wouldn't have accidents. So I did for a long time take that, and then on top of it, I took baclofen, and my teeth started having to be pulled.
Oh
And
God.
I think that people need to know this, that you can lose your teeth if you're because of the dry mouth that you get from those medications. And if you're feeling like you have dry mouth, you need to like really stay on top of that. Like
See, I
change
take baclofen
medications
too,
or
but I only take 10 milligrams a day. But I
okay.
always have a drink, so it's like I don't know. I don't ever
Yeah.
really, you know what I
As
mean?
long as you're, yeah, as long as you're not feeling that dry mouth, then you'll be okay. But I had dry mouth and I didn't even think about it. It was just what it was.
Right.
And so, yeah. So anybody out there that's listening, really, really take heed because you don't want to lose your teeth.
Right. No, I
No.
mean, I myself have had bad luck with teeth. My accident actually knocked out. Well, it chipped. When I had my accident, it chipped my front row all the way back. And then one day I was sitting here
Uh,
talking, and then like I moved my tongue on it, and I felt like my whole row of teeth like pop out of my mouth, and I'm like, what the
God.
frick? And so then it just kind
Yeah.
of went downhill, and I got depressed, and it was a big
Yeah.
thing. But like it took me a while to pop out of that, and eventually I'm just gonna get them all pulled and get dentures anyway. So it's like I'm trying to do what I can to save what I've got, but um,
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
nobody said that before. Like, what's wrong with your teeth? Like, oh, dude, it's a whole long story. But don't let that stop you. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm still going forward and doing what I got to do.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
Yep. But yeah, those kinds of things are like, wow, you didn't expect that.
no, no, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, the seventh question I got for you is what helped you the most after your injury?
Mm. Well, I think initially, um, after I got out of the hospital, I went to an independent living center and they had me stay in this house by myself for a week. And I had to, learn how to do everything by myself. But there was a peer counselor a lady who was in a chair, and she'd been in a chair for like 7 years prior to that. And she was talking about she had a horse that she rode and she was married. And I, I was like, what? I honestly thought I was going to have to live with my parents for the rest of my life.
Right.
I didn't know at that time. And so I think she just opened me up to the possibilities of what can I do? I mean, maybe I can do more than I think. And so I really think having that peer counseling, talking to, that's why I love what you're doing because listening to other people and realizing what other people can do. I mean, I'm T3. There's a lot of people I know that are T3 or below and think that they can't do, that they don't go anywhere. They're not, I work full time. I've worked full time for the last 30 years teaching second grade.
Right.
And so, anyways, I just think
You
that,
seem like a
yeah,
fun teacher too, by the way. So congratulations and thanks for teaching our youth the right way how to live. Appreciate it.
it is a lot of fun, to be honest. It's a lot of fun. As long, the politics and stuff is not, but
Yeah,
that's
you got to
taught
keep
me
that out
how.
of you got to
So,
keep that out of schooling. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
glad you see
yeah,
that
for
way too.
sure.
Um, my next question for you would be, what were your hobbies before, and do you still continue those hobbies, or have you picked up new hobbies since you've been in the chair?
Well, ironically enough, one of my hobbies before was competition shooting,
Nice.
competitive
You
shooting,
just became my
rifles.
number one favorite second grade teacher.
yeah, being from Montana, that's a thing. And, both of my parents um, were competitive shooters. My mom with a pistol, I think she shot 22 and 45,
I
and
got to
my
give you one
dad
of
shot
these.
those. Yeah. And my dad shot, I don't even know what they were called, but that silhouettes, that big thing, they're like a pistol, but a big one.
Oh,
And
the long
they would
ones, yeah.
shoot the metal, turkeys, and I don't know what else they were. But yeah, so they put me into shooting young. I think I might have been maybe fourth or fifth grade when they put me into shooting. And at 14 years old, I was chosen to go to the Junior Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs with 13 other young people. And we got trained by, I don't remember at the time who it was, but one of the, leading competitive shooters at the time. And I was on the track to be shooting competitively in the 84 Olympics. As a matter of fact, one girl that I shot competitively, we were like neck and neck always at our matches, and she was in the 84 Olympics. But I lost, I mean, at about 16, 15, 16, I started going down a different trail. Wanted to party with my friends and kind of gave up a lot of stuff. So, anyways, that was one thing. I don't shoot anymore. I did a little bit of bow, competitive shooting for a little bit, compound bow, but I don't do that anymore. What I love though, and what I always have loved is, like motorsports, and I'm kind of a car enthusiast, and I just
Nice.
got a brand new 2023 Camaro convertible.
Uh oh.
And so, and it's an SS. It's like the first time I have a car that like rumbles,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
that's the best. I got a friend who went out and got a Chevy Camaro, but he got the 6 cylinder, and I'm like, why, bro? What are you doing? You got if you're gonna get a sports car, get a sports car, get a
there's,
nice fast car. You know what I mean? Like, geez.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it is
So
what it is. I'm not dogging on you guys' 6 cylinders. If you want to save some money, I get it. Gas is $4 a gallon. That's
uh,
what you get. I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to
yeah.
say?
Well, and I had a 2014 Camaro before that, and it was a six-cylinder, and it was just a matter of, yeah, I couldn't really afford the ones I really wanted.
Oh no.
Or at least I felt like I couldn't. I had other priorities too. But yeah, no, my kids are bigger now, and I don't have to try and put them in the back seat, and so
Right.
I'm done. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and my husband and I just went to Reno. It's called Hot August Nights, and it's just, oh my gosh, there's just cars everywhere. The old, the muscle cars and the,
Oh yeah, we're big
you
up into
know,
that here in Michigan. I mean, Motor City. You know what I mean? Home of the motor cars. So
yes, I
you go
definitely
around
want.
Michigan everywhere. You see them all over the place. My grandfather actually, he was one of the guys to get like the first car show started where I was from, and it's a big downtown one. Now it gets over like 13, 14, 1,500 cars. Like it gets crazy. So
Wow,
I actually did it
yeah,
for a while, but I
that's
backed out of it because it's too much. And around where I'm at, like it's almost like high school. Like everybody's got their groups, and everybody wants to hang out with their
is it?
groups and talk crap about the other groups. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm good on that. You know what I mean? Like I'll just hang back. And now I take my cool van, my handicap van to car shows, and I'll kneel it down. And because I got a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica Sports Limited Edition. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
one of the only. I mean, there's tons of Chrysler Pacifica handicap vans, but there's not very many sports editions with the extra
Yeah,
horsepower and the all black setup, and it's pretty neat. I get a lot of compliments on it.
that's fun.
The last question I'm going to ask you tonight is, what would be the biggest piece of advice you would give to somebody who is newly injured?
Yeah, yeah. Just
I
like I
saved
said
that one for
before,
last because I feel like that was me laying in that hospital bed, looking up at that TV. You know what I mean? Wanting to hear from somebody that had the same injury
yeah.
as me. Like, what would you say? Tell that person. You know what I mean?
I would say, first of all, like I said before, be open to the possibilities that you can do more than you think you can do. But also, I would say, get hooked up with an independent living center. Get hooked up with vocational rehabilitation. They paid for my college. I got them to pay for BF Goodrich raised white letter tires on my car at the
Oh,
time.
nice.
I mean, they'll buy you your computer, that whatever you need. And so get hooked up with them, get retrained or an education. And I mean, I know not everybody is young like I was when I got injured, but even still, if you are, you have a certain career and you get hurt and you can't do that anymore, vocational rehabilitation is a great way to go.
Right.
So I just think, and once you put yourself out there and you start, I went to college and just, I don't know, you put yourself out there and things come back at you and just you realize you can do more.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to give you a round of applause for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it. Now, anything that you have that you would like to promote, if you have like an Instagram or a YouTube or anything, like even like a website or something you'd like to promote, let me know. We'll put that in the comments or the description for you on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll get that on there. And then we might bring you back later on. We'll keep you on the list, and now you're part of the Wheelchair Wednesday family. And like I said, a year from now, if we get bored, maybe we'll just circle back and see how everybody's doing.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I have a Facebook, Annette Lyman Jonson. I have an Instagram, and I don't post anything on it.
Right.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out Maui Strong, Lahaina Strong. If you can donate anything to them right now, like I said, we talked earlier, we just were in Lahaina in June, and we're just really sad about what's happening there.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
that's what I can say about that.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, Annette, we appreciate it. Once again, if anybody else would be interested in joining up, send us a message, write a comment down, and we'll get back to you in time. Besides that, Annette, stay with me. We'll get with you after this. Everybody else, we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.